Look, I want you to pause for a moment and think about your life. Not the highlights, not the successes you've been proud of, but the darkness, the struggles, the nights you felt completely alone, the moments where you questioned everything you thought you knew about yourself. Now, most people run from that darkness. They hide, they distract themselves, but not you. Not the person sitting here today. When we talk about acknowledging your darkness, what we're really talking about is facing the parts of yourself and your life that you've spent years avoiding. The fear, the pain, the regrets, the doubts that linger in the corners of your mind. These are not things to push away, not things to ignore, because they hold a power that most people never tap into. So many people go through life pretending everything is fine, putting on a mask or distracting themselves with noise, entertainment, or the validation of others. But the moment you truly stop and confront your darkness, something extraordinary begins to happen. It's uncomfortable, yes, and it's raw, yes, but it's also liberating. You start to understand yourself in a way you never could if you kept running. You start to see patterns, behaviors, and beliefs that have been holding you back for years. And for the first time, you have the opportunity to change them. Acknowledging your darkness is not about self-pity. It's not about saying, why me? Or dwelling endlessly on what's gone wrong. It's about seeing reality clearly, stripping away the illusions, and saying, this is where I am. This is the part of me that I've ignored or feared, and now I'm ready to face it. There is an incredible courage in this, a kind of bravery that is invisible to the world, but seismic in its effect on your life. The truth is that darkness is universal. Every person, no matter how successful, how confident, or how joyful they appear, has it. It's the shadow side of being human. The difference between those who feel stuck and those who transform lies in the willingness to meet that darkness head on. When you acknowledge it, you no longer give it control over you. You no longer allow it to whisper lies about your worth, your ability, or your future. Instead, you shine light into the corners that were once hidden, illuminating them, naming them, understanding them, and in that illumination, transformation begins. You start to recognize that your darkness is not an enemy. It's a part of you that has been waiting for recognition, waiting to be understood, waiting for you to take responsibility for it. When you confront it with honesty and clarity, you gain insight, clarity, and a kind of personal authority over your own life. You realize that no external circumstance, no past mistake, and no hidden fear has the power to define you unless you allow it. In facing your darkness, you cultivate a deep inner strength, a resilience that comes not from avoiding life's difficulties, but from meeting them, embracing them, and beginning the process of turning them into a force that can guide your choices, fuel your ambition, and reshape the way you live moving forward. Reframing pain as power is about transforming the way you see the challenges, failures, and suffering that life inevitably places in your path. Most people experience pain and immediately label it as something negative, something to avoid, or something that defines them. But the truth is that pain in itself is neutral. It is how we respond to it that determines its impact on our lives. Every hardship, every loss, every moment of disappointment carries within it a seed of strength if only we are willing to look for it. When you begin to reframe pain as power, you stop seeing your struggles as obstacles and start seeing them as opportunities for growth. This doesn't mean you minimize your suffering or pretend it doesn't hurt. Feeling the pain fully is part of the process because it is through facing it, sitting with it, and understanding it that you extract its hidden lessons. When you experience failure, for example, instead of letting it convince you that you are not capable, you ask yourself what it is teaching you, what strategy needs adjustment, and what inner strength is waiting to be discovered. Every disappointment becomes a classroom, every setback becomes a training ground, and every heartbreak becomes a mirror that reflects the resilience and courage you already possess, but may not have recognized. This mindset transforms your relationship with life itself. You stop fearing the storms and start learning how to sail through them, using the currents to propel you forward rather than letting them capsize you. The power that comes from pain is often subtle at first, invisible even to those around you, but it accumulates over time, creating a depth of character and a clarity of purpose that cannot be achieved through comfort or ease. When you reframe pain as power, you take ownership of your experiences rather than allowing them to own you. You recognize that the same situations that once paralyzed you with fear or sadness can now fuel your determination, sharpen your focus, and ignite a fire that propels you towards your goals. This is how extraordinary people are made, not in the absence of difficulty, but in their ability to extract energy, insight, and courage from it. And the more you practice this, the more instinctive it becomes, until challenges that once seemed unbearable become opportunities to discover just how strong, resourceful, and unshakable you truly are, until you start to see that the very pain that once threatened to define you is actually the catalyst that can elevate you to levels of growth, achievement, and fulfillment beyond anything you previously imagined. Embracing vulnerability is one of the most misunderstood yet powerful steps in transforming darkness into strength. Many people equate vulnerability with weakness, believing that showing their true selves, admitting fears, or revealing struggle will make them less capable or less respected. But the reality is completely the opposite. Vulnerability is not a flaw, it is the gateway to genuine strength, deep connection, and lasting transformation. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you are acknowledging your humanity and your imperfections, and in doing so, you open yourself to immense growth. Hiding behind walls, pretending to be invulnerable, or masking your emotions may feel safe, but it creates distance from yourself, from others, and from the life you are capable of living. True strength emerges when you let those walls down and confront the discomfort of showing up as your authentic self. Being vulnerable requires courage because it asks you to face uncertainty, risk judgment, and accept that you cannot control every outcome. It challenges the illusion of perfection and forces you to recognize that you are enough even when you are not flawless. When you embrace vulnerability, you also create space for empathy, understanding, and meaningful relationships. People are drawn to authenticity. They respond to honesty, to someone who is willing to show their struggles as well as their triumphs. This connection fosters a sense of belonging and support that strengthens you from the inside out, turning challenges into shared experiences rather than isolating burdens. Vulnerability also allows for creativity and innovation, because when you are willing to take emotional risks, you are more likely to take bold action in all areas of life. You stop playing it safe and begin experimenting, learning, and evolving at a faster pace. On a deeper level, embracing vulnerability transforms the way you see fear and failure. Instead of avoiding situations where you might be exposed, you learn to see exposure as an opportunity, an invitation to stretch, adapt, and discover new aspects of yourself. You begin to understand that your worth is not dependent on hiding your struggles, but on the resilience, insight, and courage you demonstrate in facing them openly. Over time, what once felt like weakness becomes a source of immense personal power because it aligns your actions with your truth, allows you to build genuine connections, and cultivates the inner confidence needed to navigate life's uncertainties. With grace, purpose, and unshakable strength, taking action despite fear is the defining factor between those who remain trapped in their circumstances and those who rise above them. Fear is a natural response. It signals risk, uncertainty, and potential loss, and it exists for everyone. The difference lies not in feeling fear, but in how you respond to it. Most people allow fear to dictate their decisions. They wait for the perfect moment, avoid challenges, or convince themselves that they are not ready. But waiting for fear to disappear is a trap, because it rarely does. Fear diminishes only when you move through it, when you take deliberate steps toward what scares you, and when you confront the very situations that challenge your comfort. Taking action despite fear requires a mindset shift. It means recognizing that fear is not the enemy, it is an indicator that growth lies on the other side. Every moment of hesitation is an opportunity to prove to yourself that courage is not the absence of fear, but the commitment to act in spite of it. When you take action while afraid, you build resilience, and you create evidence for yourself that you are capable of more than you realize. This is how confidence is truly forged, not by avoiding challenges, but by confronting them head on. Courage is reinforced each time you step forward. Each time you refuse to let fear control your life, and each time you act on the vision of the person you want to become rather than the limitations fear try to impose. Action, even imperfect action, transforms fear from a paralyzing force into a motivating energy. It teaches you that mistakes, setbacks, and failures are not final. They are feedback, guidance, and stepping stones on your path. Taking action despite fear also shifts your focus from what could go wrong to what could be achieved. It trains your mind to prioritize growth over comfort, progress over security, and potential over limitation. The accumulation of these moments creates momentum, and momentum is unstoppable. Each courageous choice compounds, building the inner strength needed to tackle increasingly greater challenges until fear itself becomes a familiar companion rather than a controlling force. By consistently moving forward in the presence of fear, you rewrite the narrative of your life. You demonstrate to yourself that your destiny is not determined by hesitation, doubt, or insecurity, but by your willingness to act, to commit, and to step into the unknown with conviction, discipline, and unwavering determination until fear no longer dictates the boundaries of what you can achieve, and the power to shape your life entirely rests in your hands. Creating a legacy from adversity is about transforming personal struggle into a force that extends beyond your own life. touching the lives of others in profound and lasting ways. Every challenge you face, every hardship you endure, carries within it a potential not only to strengthen you, but to inspire, guide, and empower those around you. Most people endure difficulties in silence, believing their pain is theirs alone. But the truth is that sharing your journey, your lessons, and your triumphs can create ripples that impact generations. When you decide to use your experiences as a platform, you begin to see setbacks not as endings, but as opportunities to craft meaning and purpose from the very circumstance. NCE that once seemed overwhelming. Adversity teaches empathy, insight, and resilience. And when these qualities are shared with others, they become tools that empower more than just yourself. Your story, your perseverance, and your ability to rise from darkness serve as a blueprint for those who are struggling, a reminder that transformation is possible and that strength can emerge from the most difficult places. Creating a legacy does not necessarily mean fame or recognition. It means that your actions, choices, and courage leave an imprint on the hearts and minds of others, shaping the culture of your family, your community, and even the broader world. It is the intentional act of turning personal trials into lessons, guidance, and motivation for others who may face similar challenges. Every time you lead with authenticity, vulnerability, and courage, you set an example of how to navigate life's obstacles with purpose and integrity. By reframing your pain as a source of insight and inspiration, you shift from being a passive participant in life to an active contributor to a broader story of growth, resilience, and empowerment. This approach requires vision because it asks you to look beyond immediate discomfort and see how your experiences can create meaning in ways that extend far beyond your personal journey. It demands reflection, intentionality, and the willingness to act in ways that elevate not only yourself, but also those around you. In embracing this mindset, you come to understand that adversity is not simply something to survive, but a catalyst for impact, influence, and transformation. Your struggles become the foundation upon which others can build, a living testament that strength, wisdom, and courage are born from challenge, and that even the darkest chapters of your life can be used to illuminate the path for countless others who are seeking guidance, hope, and inspiration, until you realize that your life's true measure is not the obstacles you face, but the difference you make in the world by using those obstacles to empower and uplift those who follow.